Hey guys, welcome back to the S3 Magazine podcast. As always, the dude with the dreads is Wooly. I'm Mike Sanders. This week was a pretty decent news week for the automotive industry. There's a lot of stuff going on. We talked a lot about Toyota and all the stuff that's going on with them these days. So we're just going to kind of go through all these topics really quickly, I guess. Wooly, is there one that you want to start with in particular, or should I just pick one?
I am going through our website right now. Let me think. I guess it would be good to start with the update to the Akio Toyoda story, which was kind of big news last week, I guess, for us, and we did a podcast on it last week. Do you want to introduce that, or you want me to kind of roll with it?
I'll take it. I feel like we're asking each other too many stupid questions right now. Anyway, yeah, I'll take that one. So just as a recap, as you guys may have known, certain investors, certain nameless, shitty asshole investors decided to bring Akio Toyoda's chairmanship to a vote. The guy with the last name of Toyota, they literally wanted to give him the boot because he was not on board enough with the whole EV agenda, I guess is pretty much what it really came down to. A big group in California, a big group in New York, and just a bunch of knobs kind of all over the place, kind of pull a bunch of crap. So, but the good news was they actually did the vote on June 14th. So he survived it. Not only did he survive it, but I think he won by like a lot. So the good guys get a win, which is always awesome. I love seeing that. Especially nowadays, I feel like it doesn't happen enough these days, but the good guys win. Akio has been reelected as chairman of the board, which means Toyota's future looks bright moving forward until they pull some more bullshit shenanigans again, because I guarantee this isn't the only time they're going to try to boot him out, if that's what they were actually trying to get him out for. So we'll keep tabs on that situation. But for right now, good guys won, shitty asshole investors 0, which is cool. And oh, by the way, Toyota's stock had the best week that it's seen since like what, 2009 or
But I saw.
Yeah,
I saw. So their stock has been steadily on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so I guess it was like a little shareholder stroking day was June 14th, right? So like, I don't know how all that stuff goes, but Toyota came out and basically decided to play the game. You know, like they've been very honest, very wise, very forthcoming about, just rushing prematurely to a full-scale EV future. They've been speaking from the heart, and the ultra-progressive investors don't like that kind of shit. He was kind of a squeaky wheel. Wow, we're kind of cussing a lot in this one. That's all right. It happened. Anyway, it's like they turned on the boosters, so to speak, at this little shareholder thing, because they came out and they just said everything polar opposite to what they've been saying. To people like you and me, it's pretty clearly bullshit, but apparently it worked. I mean, they've gone in there and said, man, you wouldn't believe this, but we've just cracked the code on these solid state batteries. And man, we're going to get 900 miles of range per charge. And it's going to charge faster. And when, by the way, the cost is going to come way down. And all the dumbass investors, all these people that are invested in Toyota but don't know about cars, were like, that's absolutely the news we wanted to hear, and somewhere in the mix they said, oh, and by the way, there's no way in hell that we're getting rid of Akio. And so business as usual, but they said all the right things. And by the way, they were like, oh, but all this battery stuff that I'm talking about, they pulled like a little playbook out of Elon Musk, like they were like, this stuff ain't going to be ready till like 2027, 2028. So just hang tight. And so they've essentially bought themselves an election cycle, and they've bought themselves time to kind of watch how this pans out. Now, do I think that there's some truth to what they're saying? Yes. That Toyota behind the scenes is basically their attitude is, if we're going to go EV, we're going to do something that nobody else has done. You know what I mean? We're going to come out with something that absolutely changes the game. if we're going to do it. So I do believe that they're working on that, but I do believe that they just learned how to work the room here. They just kind of said, Akio, shut up with the honesty. Here's what we're going to say. You know, we're going to buy ourselves some time and go from there. That's my impression, at least. That's what I get from it.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. And
I could be, but I don't think.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I could be wrong, but I have a hunch, you know?
I mean, this could flat out just be the new guys, the new president and CEO's way of doing business. Who knows? Or maybe they're truthful about it. Maybe they did really make some massive breakthrough. I mean, I don't know, man. We'll see. Time will tell. But it is kind of strange that it all happened in the same week. I think that a lot of the big wigs there, the higher ups, the people who are actually making these statements, I think that they want Akio on board, as they should. I mean, he's the only person there with the actual right last name of Toyota.
100%. And you know, Akio brought Koji Sato, the current CEO, brought him up, you know, and Koji was CEO of Lexus before this. They're both car enthusiasts, tried and true. They can wear a suit, but they're not really suits. They want to be driving. They like to go to the track. They're kind of two peas out of the same pod. I don't think that either one of them wants to see the other one go. You know what I mean? I think Koji will fight to keep Akio around. You know, it's kind of his mentor. I just think that these guys, and we're probably going to talk about Toyota a lot tonight because we're kind of changing what we're doing a little bit here with the podcast. At least we're trying something new. Like, we're basically, instead of just picking one topic and talking about that, we're kind of going through the topics that we've written about for S3 this week. So Toyota has come up a lot this week, and it's not because they're paying our bills. I wish they were. It's because they are the only company right now that is worth talking about, to be honest. They're the only company with authenticity and some gumption, and they're just making moves. They're just doing cool stuff. So, like you said, it's really good to see the good guys win for once. It hasn't been happening a lot recently. And so it's kind of cool to see them stay in the game here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100% agreed. Speaking of which, that'll jump us right into our next topic. Toyota has announced they're bringing back the Land Cruiser.
Yeah. Okay, I got thoughts on this one too. I'm opening up the article on our website. See, this sucks, guys. You guys really need to look at our website because I'm a better writer than I am talker in a lot of cases. But anyway, yeah, Toyota's on fire. So they was it last week, right? They revealed the new Lexus GX.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get my facts straight. The car looks great. So this week they say that they're going to basically bring back the Land Cruiser to America. They had a quote on their social media. They threw a couple teasers up of, like, you know, old Land Cruiser emblems, and it said, "Did you really think we'd be gone for long? The legend returns." So, of course, everybody starts speculating, right? All the little automotive journalists start speculating and stuff. The current Lexus LX is on what the new Land Cruiser chassis is for the global market. Toyota just didn't bring it here. And it kind of makes sense if you follow me here. So the Lexus LX is the Land Cruiser with the luxury Lexus treatments and whatever. Overseas, Toyota makes a Land Cruiser Prado, which is based on the smaller GX. What we have here in America is the Lexus GX. Overseas, they have a Land Cruiser Prado on the same chassis. So Toyota talks about bringing in the new GX. Oh, I'm sorry, Lexus talks about bringing in the new GX, and then a week later, Toyota hints and teases that they're going to make a Land Cruiser. I think that the next Land Cruiser is not going to be on the Lexus LX chassis. It's going to be on the Lexus GX chassis. I also, again, it's a hunch. It's nothing official. I really think we might get a top-down Bronco Wrangler competitor. I think that Toyota's probably been looking at that, like looking at the sales of the Bronco and the Wrangler are no joke. FJ's back in the day used to have a top that could come down. Like, it kind of makes sense. And then I started thinking about it even more. It makes even more sense. They just introduced Toyota, a Highlander. I forget what they call it, but it's like the Grand Highlander, I think is what they call it. And so it's a bigger Highlander. They've also introduced the Sequoia, and that's starting to really trickle into the market. Like, both of those cars serve the people mover needs. Like, that's why Sequoia is going to be a carpool line killer. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be good. The Land Cruiser in America had really turned into a super niche market. It's expensive as hell, and it's kind of lackluster for the general population. In America, the people that can afford that car are really going the European performance SUV route. The Cayennes, the X5Ms, stuff like that, Land Rovers, Range Rovers, stuff like that. So I think the move would be to bring it on the GX chassis. So it would be the size of a Wrangler, maybe a little bit bigger, the size of a Bronco. Make the top come down, make a removable top, keep it 4x4. I think it'll kill. I think it'll slay.
You're 100% right, and it's a really, really smart move, because what have we been hearing the last couple of years? Whenever we go to SEMA, everybody wants to talk overlanding, everybody wants to talk, being outdoorsy, camping, doing cool things in the woods and on mountains with the cars, right? And I mean, just look at the sales numbers for Jeeps and the Broncos, man. It's ridiculous. Ever since they actually finally started delivering Broncos, I feel like everybody in my damn neighborhood has one. I mean, they are freaking everywhere, and those things are just money-making machines for the manufacturers. To be honest, it would be dumb for Toyota not to get involved in this.
Yeah. And for forever, everybody left that market to Jeep. But see, now that Bronco came in, now that Ford came in, I think it's kind of game on. And don't quote me on this. I think I remember somebody from Jeep. They're not bitter about the Bronco. Like, at least not in public. They're kind of going, hey, competition improves the whole segment, like, and they're not saying their sales have like taken huge hits because of the Bronco. It's just more people are getting into that. It's attractive, top down 4x4s are just an inspiring, attractive option. Toyota doesn't have that. And what they have kind of filled in, like I said, is the Sequoia and the Grand Highlander. And what's the new Lexus? The TX, or there's a new Lexus based on the Grand Highlander. So they've really got that kind of, soft SUV thing covered. Mm-hmm. I think it makes a lot of sense. I don't know. This is all speculation. Like, this is nothing official. We don't have inside information. You know what I mean? It just kind of fits.
Yeah.
It seems right.
Absolutely. I mean, we'll see what they do with it. So far, it's just a teaser and speculation, but we'll see. Like I said, it would be very smart for them to get into that market.
Yeah, and I think it's coming soon. Toyota doesn't do this Tesla game where they announce some car and like 4 years later it's still not here. Like, the GX is coming 2024. It's already it's working its way in. So I think the Land Cruiser will be here. This will be answered sooner than later. And now that I've said it, I'm gonna be mad if it's not a top down. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be irritating if it's not. I think it's just gonna make the whole Toyota lineup that much stronger. I mean, it's gonna be undeniable. Like, they're gonna have a car for whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
What is their whole mantra? Like, Akio, they say they want to make a car for everybody. You know what I mean? From the 8.6 to whatever this Land Cruiser is. So
yeah,
they just keep winning, dude. It's like every week I feel like Toyota is putting something out. It's the Tacoma, it's the GX, it's the freaking Prius. It's like that meme going around that says the Prius has no business looking as good as it looks. Let that settle down, like, it's insane. So the momentum, dude, the momentum is undeniable. from Toyota, and I wish that some of these other manufacturers would take some, inspiration from that, because we're just not seeing that. You know what I mean? We're seeing a lot of slack talk, a lot of, I don't know, just uninspiring talk from a lot of the manufacturers. Toyota's.
Yeah, I agree. And with that, let's jump over to something that is actually inspiring and something that you and I were asking for about a week ago. The Lotus.
No.
Yeah. So apparently somebody has made a Lotus prototype. I don't remember the name of it. I don't have it pulled up in front of me right now.
It's like NyoBolt, NYOBOLT.
Yeah, NyoBolt. It's based off of the old, if you guys remember, it's based off of the old Lotus S1, which was a beautiful car. It was a version of the Elise S1. So it's based off of that. It's supposed to be a full-on EV, motor in the back, rear-wheel drive, fun vehicle. They didn't say anything about horsepower numbers or anything like that, but you got to assume with it being Lotus, it'll at least be fun and sporty around the track. It's probably not going to have a manual transmission because it's just a flat-out EV, and we're not there yet. But you got to imagine it's probably going to handle and brake pretty well, and at least have, make it to where you can have some fun with the car. That being said, it apparently has, it's going to be small and lightweight, just like every other Lotus. But the cool thing about it is the battery pack they put in there, they claim can charge from completely dead, 0%, all the way to 100 in 6 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, now you're getting to the point where it's like, I mean, that's the length of a gas station stop, and this could be a fun, sporty little car. Like, yeah, it only has a 155-mile range, but does that really matter when you can charge the whole thing in 6 minutes?
Right. Yeah. So this company, I'm probably butchering the name, but I'm going to say it the way it looks. NyoBolt, NYOBOLT. I was on their website, and it looks more like they're a technology company, a battery company. They're not like an automotive manufacturer, but they took the Lotus Elise and they used that as their platform. Why? Because it's mid-engine and it's lightweight. It makes a lot of sense. As a matter of fact, it's what Elon Musk used for the original Roadster back in 2008. It's not the first time that people are gravitating to this car. But yes, man, dude, it's like, we've been saying this, if we're gonna go EV as a world, as a nation, we got to start thinking small. Americans
Hold
don't.
on. If we're gonna go EV for the reasons that they claim we're going EV, which
Right.
is green, being good for the environment, not overkill, then yes, this is how they need to be built.
Yeah, it's very circular. Like, if you don't know anything about cars and you somehow stumbled on this podcast, a lighter car takes less battery to move it. Batteries are very heavy. For example, the battery in the obscene Hummer EV weighs 2,800 pounds.
That's more than a Lotus.
Accords from the 90s weigh 2,800 pounds. Like my CRX weighs like 1,800 pounds. An S2000 weighs 2,700 pounds. Just to throw some numbers out there. A Mustang, I don't know. What does a Mustang weigh? 3,600
Yeah,
pounds?
the new ones are about 3,700.
So that's to put it in perspective. The battery that the Hummer EV has to lug around weighs as much as a car. So if you have a lighter car, you need less battery. If you have less battery, the car's lighter. It's a circle of life. So yeah, this is the approach. If we're gonna go EV, and we're gonna go EV for the right reasons, we got to start thinking small. That's a hard sell for America. We're not small people. We don't like small cars. Like, it's hard to make a small car appealing, but you have to change. See, that's the funny thing. Like, all these people claim, it's zero emission and sustainability and all. If that's what you want, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. You're not going to become sustainable and zero emissions or whatever all these bullshit words are, and do it with a 9,000-pound 3-row SUV that costs over $100,000. It's asinine. you're going to have to make some life changes if you want to reverse climate change or whatever they're selling you on. You know what I mean? So we're going to have to get used to the idea of small cars. Now, follow me here. If you had a small car that got rid of all the bullshit, you know, it doesn't need a 30-inch screen in front of your face. It doesn't need parking assist. It doesn't really need backup cameras. It doesn't need lane keep assist. It doesn't need all this BS, tire pressure monitors, all the crap that we have mandated into cars that has run the price up to the current highs that they are now. If we could ditch that stuff, and if we could loosen some of the damn government regulations a little bit, we could pull this off. We could make small EVs that instead of it being your only car, think about it being cheap enough so you could keep your current car. You could keep your full-size SUV or your truck in the garage, and then this car, the car note on it would be cheap enough to essentially pay for itself when you consider what you're saving on gas. So the approach will be different, and that's the approach of this car, which is interesting. It's a small car. It doesn't have a lot of range, but it's got enough range to get you through your commute, your daily errands, your weekday driving. For most people, that stuff is pretty predictable, right? And for most people, it's not over 130 miles a day. So use the EV on the weekdays for personal transportation. You don't need a 6,000-pound car to go get bread.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't make sense. Use this thing, rip around. If we could actually make them fun like this car, hey, bonus points. You know what I mean? And then it allows you to keep your internal combustion car so you have options. And you can use that car on the weekend. You can use it on road trips, family trips, towing, hauling, Home Depot runs, stuff like that. You still have a solution, but yet you're putting more mileage on the EV, right? Like you're reducing the amount of emissions that you expel. You're reducing the amount of gas that you use. It seems like a smart way to do this.
Yeah. And on top of that, they also claim that it can take, because immediately you think, oh, I'm going to have to charge this thing literally every single day because the range is only 155 miles. They claim that this thing can handle over 2,000 full charges before it starts to experience any type of battery degradation. Now you're talking about getting 200 to 300,000 miles out of the vehicle before the battery starts to have any problems.
Yeah, and I said in the article, like I kind of had a feeling that this is more of a science experiment for the NyoBolt or whatever, that it's kind of a PR move. It gets them some attention in the press and stuff like that. I don't think there's any plans to take this car to any sort of real production. But yes, I think the approach that it shows is very intelligent. Small cars, low range. We need to stop thinking without thinking, oh, that's not enough range. You know what I mean? Like people go, oh, it's not enough range. Well, maybe it is in the right package. And if we could get that price down, that was another thing I said in the article. Like I was making, guys, go check it out. I mean, it's on s3mag.com. It's on our app. But, you know, I was talking about like AC, air condition, in an EV comes at the sacrifice to your range. It's not just running off of an alternator, it's using your battery. So you have to start thinking differently. What's good for people like you and me is that gives an open lane to Targa tops, T-top. Use the AC only as necessary. Try and use natural air condition. You want to be green, natural air condition, Targa tops, convertibles, T-tops, which will naturally make these cars fun. It will naturally start to give them some soul. If you're talking about a mid-engine design, you don't feel like you need dual motor, you know, all-wheel drive. You know how like with a Tesla, we all feel it. Like they're like, oh, the Model 3 starts at like 38 grand now. And you're like, yeah, for the rear-wheel drive. Who wants that? You know, I want the you know, high-performance dual motor one. Well, this is different because if the motor's right in the back, you don't feel like you're missing out by not getting all-wheel drive. You're not losing driving dynamics. It can be a very fun car. It's not going to be a 0 to 60 in sub 2 second rocket. It doesn't need to be. We have lost our sanity when it comes to speed these days. Everything has got to be, like, it's like we were saying, 0 to 60 has become an irrelevant form of measurement. It's stupid. It's gotten so fast that it doesn't make sense. You can have a lot of fun in a car that's not as much as fast. Mid-engine makes a lot of sense. Somebody needs to make the MR2 of EVs. Somebody needs to make the Miata of EVs. Somebody needs to make the CRX or the Del Sol or the Geo Tracker of EVs. Small little utes, you know what I mean? But stuff that you can pop the top down. Get rid of the crap you don't need. I'll go so far as to say you don't need automatic windows. Like, Americans are so damn pampered with their cars that it's got to do everything for them. It's got to, whatever. The seats have to be 40-way adjustable. It's got to, automatic wipers, automatic everything. It's got to tell you, hey, you might have your kid in the back seat. Like, this stuff is stupid. If you cannot drive without lane keep assist and your car telling you that your child's in the back seat, you don't need to be driving. This tech is not making better drivers. It's just making tech dependent marshmallow kids. And like, we got to stop it. If we can, like I said, if we can get that shit out and we can get the government to stop with the overregulation, we can then bring the price of these cars down. If you can get the price to the $30,000 mark, it sells itself. Our argument with EVs is just don't force it and make it make sense. The way that they have implemented EVs in this country does not make sense. They went straight to $100,000 luxury, fashionably green EVs, and we need to back off of that. I like this approach. I think that it especially works for enthusiasts. Because tell me, dude, for the price of running your Tundra around for a month, if there was some version of an MR2 mid-engine, single-engine EV with a Targa top, tell me you wouldn't take that to work every day. You'd save $400 a month just not buying gas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not buying gas, paying for oil changes. Absolutely. It would pay for itself pretty quickly. Like on a month-to-month basis, it would damn near pay for itself. I just love the fact that they're actually taking a different approach to solving this issue of what's going on. Like, everybody's just been beating their head against the wall going range, 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 when it's really not even that problem, that big of a problem. Like, most people, whenever they complain about range, they're not actually talking about their daily commute, going to pick up their kid, going to work or anything like that. They're just like, oh, that one vacation that I take a year, I want to drive down to Florida and I can't. Just rent a car. Rent a car for that 1 week. That should not be an excuse. If you actually wanted to go EV, that's a very simple answer, but they're just so obsessed with the range and they want every excuse in the world.
Yeah, EVs aren't road trip cars at this point in time anyway. It's a dumb choice. Not like somebody like me wouldn't try it, but I like to put myself in precarious situations. But for the average person, look, they talk about 300 miles range on an EV. Yes, in the city. But you open that thing up to 80, 85 miles an hour and you start going, your range drops 2 miles for every 1 mile you drive. That means it's 100 miles before you're going, oh, crap, we got to start looking. And then you have to find a charger. You have to hope somebody's not on it. It's going to take 20 or 30 minutes. It's not a good form of road trip car. Fly, do something else. Like, it's not the answer. Now, where EVs in 2023 make a lot of sense is to take the stress off of your internal combustion car for everyday driving and then use this thing locally. Use it locally, whip it around. That's where it helps if it's fun. And I know Americans don't understand the concept of a fun car anymore, but you can have a sporty car and it makes your life better. And it driving it, go pick up your kid in carpool, go grab some freaking burritos or go to the grocery store, your daily errands. It's good for that. And especially when you get the battery down, it charges faster. And if they can actually charge this, 6 minutes is vague, right? Like, they gave you no performance numbers on this thing. They said 6 minutes. Yeah, with what charger? They're a tech company. Like, but let's say it takes 30 minutes. 30 minutes at home on a 220, charger. Like, that's nothing. You can charge that while you're at home making a sandwich and then be out again. Like, it makes a lot of sense. like you said, we're all range obsessed. But the auto manufacturer's solution to try and appease our obsession is to put giant batteries in a car, which is not good for the earth. It runs the expense up. It makes the cars heavier, which makes them require more battery, which makes them take longer to charge. It's not the answer. You could make 5 little Lotus Elise type street ripping 150-mile range cars for the price of one stinking Hummer, or not for the price, but for the same amount of battery as one Hummer. You got to think smart. If the basis of this whole damn agenda is sustainability, then we have to think sustainability. And I kind of like it that a lot of these little EV activists are maybe going to have some inconveniences in their life. You know, I'm used to it. But for these guys, you know, maybe you don't get it all if you want to save the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Because getting it all files under the gluttonous 20th century life that you hate so much, you know, like, so start living simply.
It's supposed to be about saving resources and not using so many resources. Dude, whenever you get one of these, you know, dual engine high performance vehicles, or good God, that Hummer that you keep talking about, like the amount of natural resources that goes into building those things is pretty insane. It's what I saw, it's something like 70% harder on the environment to build it than just a normal gas powered car is, something like that.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing. I like the fact that this company, NyoBolt, whatever, looked.
I think it's NyoBolt.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Who cares? Make a normal name. Anyway, like nobody struggles with Ford. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on. But anyway, I like the fact that these guys looked back to cars that exist as a platform to do this with. It kind of got me thinking, you know, Japan, especially Europe, like there were a lot of really good, simplistic, elemental driver's cars that were made in the 90s. They had the formula down. They didn't overdo it. They kept it simple and reliable. Maybe these companies need to go back in the archives a little bit, look at what they were doing in the 90s and go, hey, you know what? That, like the MR2, would make a hell of a platform for an EV. And if the government would just, yes, we need to update this thing within reason. We need to make it a little bit safer, a little bit more modern, a little bit better. But if we can like loosen the government leash a little bit, we can kind of reintroduce these cars. You know, they reintroduce old models, Challenger stuff, but they're all bloated, heavy things that have lost the original formula. If they could keep their original formula intact and bring these things back, you know, a lot of them make great platforms for an EV. They really do. We have just overcomplicated the shit out of everything to where we don't even know what we're doing anymore.
Yeah. The world has very much become like that movie WALL-E, where we just want to kind of sit there and have everything done for us. And I'm going to press this button, this can bring me a soda, and I press that button, it takes me over here to get a burger. I mean, yeah, man, it is. We've taken convenience too far, and it's, good God, this is a whole other topic that we could get on. Humans, I feel like we hit our peak and we are going back down now. Like we were, who was I talking? I think I was talking with you about this the other day, how we basically were not always the top of the food chain, but we became top of the food chain because of tools, because we figured out how to create tools that made us the apex predator. And then now you have people running around who have no idea how the tools are made. They don't know how to use them. And they're still technically top of the food chain apex predator just because they're protected by it. It's kind of humanity is in a weird situation right now because, yeah, there's a lot of people just living the gluttonous lifestyle that have done nothing to earn it, I guess you could say. You know, anyway, that is way the hell off topic. Let's not get into that right now.
I mean, it is, but it's not. Like, we are dealing with first world countries are pampered to the point to where we're arguing about genders.
Mm.
And I'm not taking a side on that. I'm just saying we're arguing about genders, which means that we are so privileged. They want to talk about certain privileges. We're all privileged. And yeah, if you don't want to drive, there's an option for you, and it's public transportation. I don't know why we're in a time where, you know, these little subcultures of people don't want to drive, and so they're just forcing people not to drive. It's screwed up. But
I hate that. Like, I'm not mad at EVs for what they are. I'm upset because it's being forced down our throat through legislation. That's the part that I think is completely wrong and corrupt and just messed up from the get-go. Go ahead.
Forced on us under a lie, right? That it is going to reverse climate change because, you know, for your safety or for the planet, you really can't argue with that. You know what I mean? So, yeah, the whole thing is dumb. We all know that. We know that. But the point is, if we're going to pursue, you know, this, which we should. Nobody's saying we shouldn't pursue EVs. We absolutely should. The frustration as people that know about cars comes when they go, oh, here's a zero emissions vehicle. It's 9,000 pounds. And you're like, that is not, you guys are fucking lying to people. And they're idiots, so they believe it. Or maybe they just want to believe it because, you know, they don't want to make the sacrifices. So they're just believing the lie that is told to them. And it's infuriating for somebody that's actually trying to make sense of it.
I mean,
anyway.
at that kind of weight ratio, like just the amount of tires and brakes alone that vehicle is going to go through in its lifespan is ridiculous.
Dude. So my buddy, I can't defend him. He's my buddy, but he's got a Rivian, right? And it's the 4-motor, top of the line Rivian or whatever. So long story short, we ride mountain bikes together. I was following him in his Rivian on my bike, and he was pulling into the bike park, and he was only going like 5 miles an hour, something like that, like, you know, at a state park speed. But he made a turn, and I could hear the tires struggling. Like I was right behind him, and I could hear like they sounded like race tires, you know, on the pavement. And I was like, man, he doesn't have maybe 3,000 miles on it. And I was like, have you noticed any tire wear? Because I can hear him straining under the weight of this 7,000-pound all-wheel drive vehicle. He's like, yeah, I'm not expecting to last long, especially the way he drives it, you know, because he's always got his foot in it. But the other thing about that Rivian, like, it's supposed to be a truck, right? Am I just a Neanderthal, or trucks are supposed to be a little bit rugged? But this Rivian does everything for you. You don't open a hood, a tailgate, a door, like literally everything is just like, oh, you just touch this little leaf over here and it opens, and it's the dumbest shit. And it all adds weight. The very thing that is working against an EV the most, weight and drag. And they are just if you're going to drive an EV, you have to take, like I said in the article, your flabby Walmart arm and lift the tailgate up. Like, we don't, you can't have it all. You cannot save the world and have it all. It's one or the other. Saving the world is the foundation of this whole movement because it's what they based it on, because who doesn't like the world? So it's one or the other. You either need to start saying, hey, wait a fucking second, this doesn't make sense, you guys are lying to me, or you have to accept the lie and make some changes and drive little shitbox cars with low range. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, continuing with the EV thing, another big story in the last week. You maybe know more about this than I do, but what was it, 2 weeks ago? Ford announced that they were going to switch over to Tesla's connector, their plug, their charging plug or whatever. It's the
NACS, North American Charging Standard.
Right. So, you know, Elon Musk and Tesla decided to name their charger the North American Charging Standard. And hey, you know, like they named it that. And so Ford finally caved. Tesla has a superior charging network with superior chargers. There are common complaints from non-Tesla EV owners that, you pull up to a charging station and the shit doesn't work, or it's too cold, or whatever. They haven't dialed it in yet. But Tesla's years and years and years ahead on this stuff. So Ford, Tesla, they joined forces 2 weeks ago. So then this week, GM decided to make it a three-way. And Mary Barra, the CEO of GM, ironically and enjoyably got on Twitter, which is the social media platform that GM pulled all of their advertising from as soon as Elon Musk became owner. So she gets on his platform and brown noses him a little bit and announces that GM is also going to change to this NACS adapter. What does that mean for, I don't know, the playing out of charging an EV?
Well, first of all, it means that Tesla's stock has gone through the absolute damn roof over the last 2 weeks, because now not only they the big time EV automotive manufacturer, but now they own the charging network, and this looks like it's going to be the charging network that the big horses are going to back. And as long as they're backing them, that's going to be the one that gets all the funding. So now you're going to see Tesla start to get more government funding.
Mm-hmm.
Before it was Electrify America, I think, getting most of the funding, and now it's going to start going to Tesla, as it probably should have in the beginning, to be honest, because, like you said, they make the superior product. We're still dealing with an industry and a end result here that we don't fully understand.
Yeah.
And to exclude the company that knows the most about it is let's call it what it is. It's stupid. It was a really, really bad, just stupid decision.
And that was the current administration, right? The current administration that was making that stupid call, because they were kind of throwing him out of the party. They kept bringing in Ford, Mopar, GM, and oddly leaving out the company Tesla that started the whole EV disruption. Anyway, go ahead.
The godfather of EVs. I mean, yeah.
Right.
Anyway, we've bitched about that on other podcasts. Go back and check them out if you want to hear me yelling. Anyway, but yeah, so that's basically what it means. I mean, you're going to see a heck of a lot more Tesla charging stations popping up all over the country now because of this, because now you've got two, the big three on board with you. And as soon as Dodge actually gets serious about making EVs and starts doing it, they're going to jump on board too. And once they do, it's game over for Electrify America. It is going to be all Teslas through and through.
Well, it's funny you say that, because the big three, like I said in an article, is kind of the big four now, because Tesla is running this shit. Dodge is owned by Stellantis. I had a comment on our article that said, is that even part of the big three at this point? You know what I mean? I'm like, fair enough. But Dodge, Stellantis, I should say, which is Dodge plus the European brands, they are already flirting with Tesla and Elon Musk and the NACS chargers. And today I saw an article that said that Elon Musk is trying to invite Toyota after Toyota's big day, since they're playing EV now. So, if Elon Musk can get Stellantis and Toyota, shit, they control the charging network of this country. I don't know what it looks like in Europe or anywhere else, but I know they control it here. Probably don't even need to make cars anymore. Why? You can control everybody's car. You know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of a settling of the Wild West here. Like, this is significant what we're seeing happening, I think, in the long term. I think that the current administration is realizing that they can't do it without Elon Musk's help, and they have to do it to not look like fools, because it's what they said they're going to do. Elon Musk is getting government money for it, which he's phenomenal at. And the Electrify America, just in case you guys don't know, is kind of Volkswagen's punishment for the whole Dieselgate thing back when that happened. It's kind of like, if you want to keep selling cars around here, boy, you've got to put some money into these chargers. So every Electrify America is funded by Volkswagen, Audi, that whole group. So And I don't have much EV experience, but I've had a few press cars, and I've never had anything but positive experiences from Electrify America. I think they are one of the good ones. But the argument here, and I don't know anything about this, is that just the NACS chargers are better all around. So that's good. I mean, I guess, it has to be standardized. You know what I mean? If we're going to go forward with this and it's going to go from a niche thing to mainstream, it has to be standardized. It would be like having different gas pumps for all the different manufacturers. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. Good way to put it. Okay, so yeah, in closing with that, you guys should have bought Tesla stock 2 weeks ago, but you probably didn't, so you missed out. All right, I think our last topic
Toyota stock.
Huh?
And Toyota stock.
And Toyota stock. Yeah, it's doing well too. All these guys, to be honest, so I keep up with a lot of that stuff. GM, not so much, but Ford over the last 2 weeks has gone up too, ever since they announced that partnership. And I believe that when I looked at GM at the end of last week, they had moved up about 5% in a week. I think Ford was closer to 9%. So I'm going off of memory here, but everybody was up more than the market because they're finally starting to figure stuff out and hammer out deals, which is always a good thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that covers all of the stories here. The only other thing I wish I could share with you guys, I don't know how to do this, but we did do a feature on two BMW M3s. They kind of came out of Obsessed Garage or Obsessed Worldwide. One is an E36 from Luke Turner, and then the other one is an E46 from Tim Turner. They are oddly not brothers, but they're buddies. But anyway, these two cars are rad. If you want to check them out, go to our site under the features section and please check them out. I wish I could show you pictures of it. Maybe one day we'll figure out how to do that. We also have another BMW, coincidentally, an E36 that's going up tomorrow. And you don't know about this. It's EcoBoost powered, 2-liter Focus ST motor, more or less. So that'll be going up tomorrow. And it's this is what they do. They do these EcoBoost swaps. So it's pretty cool stuff. Check that out tomorrow, depending on when you're listening to this. But other than that, I guess that's about it, right?
That's all I got.
That's all I got. You want to plug our app?
Yeah, man. If you guys don't have it yet, please download our app. Just go to your app store. We've got it for Apple. We've got it for Android. Just type in S3 Magazine, do a quick little search. It'll pop up. It's right there. It's got all the news, all the car features, all of our podcasts, all of our awesome content that we make for you guys on a day-to-day basis. It's all there. Get it so that it's right there in your pocket. Easy to see anything that we're doing.
It will keep you guys up to date with stuff that matters if you're a car enthusiast. You can check it once a day. And like I said, the stuff that matters will be up there. We try not to get into the news that's bullshit. You know how you see the Jalonics and guys like that are kind of saying, oh, here's a rendition of what the MR2 would look like if Toyota made it, but they haven't committed to making it. We just had our guy do a render, and we don't mess with that. The stuff that we talk about, we feel is significant to car culture. Not just automotive news, but significant to car culture. And on top of that, you get to see the badass features like this E36 and E40. By the way, it got me thinking, what are you like an old school BMW guy like the NA era, or are you like a new school BMW guy with the turbo era? Because I always thought that turbos were always better, end of discussion. But damn, dude, the older that the NA era cars get, the more that I miss that sweet, sweet song of like an E36, E46 M3. And the less I care about being the fastest guy on the damn block.
Yeah, E46 M3 is one of my favorite cars ever. And an E36 M3, my mother-in-law actually had one until her husband crashed it, which was a really, really, really sad day. But that was a cool car.
What a dick.
I know, what a dick. And then my old roommate from college, Neil, he had the V8 M3. Remember that thing was. We switched cars for a day, and I gave him my Mustang, and he gave me that, and I kind of drove it around for a little while. I fell in love with that thing. Just, man, high revving, not massive power cars like that are just so much fun to drive, dude. They're awesome.
I know. This was one of those features, and it happens a lot. But by the time I'm done writing it, I'm like, I gotta go get one. The time is now. But anyway, all right, we've rambled on enough. You guys continue on with your day, and thank you for listening to the S3 podcast.
Absolutely. Take care, guys.